If it is or if it ain't, it's gonna come out. Good morning, everybody. It's your girl Miracle Sims, and you're listening to God, Sex, and Love. Your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. It is January the 19th, 2024, and today the topic is priorities. Happy Friday, everybody. Yes, happy Friday. I hope that you guys had a wonderful Thursday. Mine was just fine. Yeah, mine was good overall. Highlights of yesterday was working my shift at Mountain West. Um, Alongside of that, again, still getting to know my coworker, slash, I guess, new manager, if you want to call it that, or my new point of contact. So that's still interesting, making observations about that situation. Um, Also trying to get an understanding of the expectations alongside of like um making sure my voice is heard and understood and stuff like that. So there's a lot of little stuff going on, but I mean, we're gonna see what the Lord do with all of it. I guess I'm excited to see, again, what the Lord is going to do, and I'm grateful, right, to be in a place where you know growth is encouraged. That's a good way to say it. Growth is encouraged. With that being said, speaking of growth, so I guess some bad news is that y'all know that I was scheduled to do a counseling session today. Well, I guess with the setup, you already kind of can put two and two together that I guess I need to reschedule because there was this inbounding form or like in whatever the word is in what is the word? It's not inbound, but like whatever the word is. It's like my mind is scrambled right now. But there was some type of form intake. Okay, they got like an intake form that I needed to do, and I thought I did it last week, but I guess it didn't go through. And so anyway, because of that, the counselor needed to reschedule. So it's all good. I mean, it's on me. I take the L and whatnot for that. And so we'll see when my counseling session is going to be. Again, I believe all things work together for the good. And so yeah, I mean, I got a busy day ahead. Look, I'm gonna honor my husband's wishes and go and get my car looked at and stuff like that. Not for the purposes of fixing the mirror, which I already told you guys isn't going to be done until next month, but but for like the oil change and getting it an inspection and stuff like that. So I need to go do that around 10. And then I have two people signed up to be on the GSL talk show today. So prayerfully I get done with that whole car situation this morning. Um so I'll be back and ready to go by the time the to to have my interviews today. But if not, I'll just have to coordinate with them and let them know and say, hey, I'm sorry, can we reschedule? I'm sorry today, blah blah blah, all that stuff. But but yeah, so that makes it a pretty, busy day ahead. But yeah, there was a cute moment this morning. I woke up, can't remember what time. I think I woke up at the sound of my alarm, and a lot of things on my heart and mind and stuff like that. But anyway, my husband went to run an errand this morning, and he's planned to take our son with him. And so I guess he got him up and everything, was getting him ready and stuff like that. And I heard them talking, and he's like, um, where are we going? And my husband was telling him where they was gonna go, and he's like, just me and you? He's like, me and you? And he's like, yeah, he's like, okay. And it just was cute. Like the back and forth, the conversation was just really cute to witness and hear. Um, and again, NJ has a lot of, I guess, time whenever I leave or whenever he leaves the house. Usually he's with me, so it's nice for them to get some time together away and stuff like that. So I hope they're enjoying their father son time while quote unquote Papa is out there running errands and whatnot for the family, and things like that. And so yeah, so that's, I guess, a cute moment, just something going on in our household. But speaking of households, man, speaking of households, I would say I don't know if today's conversation was inspired by households per se, but I feel like it was a kind of a good way to segue or back to the conversation at hand, which is priorities. Um, Now, to be honest with you, because I usually tell y'all how I get to the subject matter. Um, I would say that while I was listening to the prayer meditation this morning, the word priorities just came into my heart and mind. Um, Now, I don't know if the prayer meditation had anything to do with that. I can't even remember what the prayer meditation was about now. But um, like I said, while I was listening to it, the word priorities came into my heart and mind. And so, I kind of made a note of that mentally and you know, with the intention to go deeper about it once the prayer meditation got done. And that's pretty much what I did. I mean, I obviously looked up the definition, I looked up, verses, and I was trying to look up articles at gotquestion.org. And I guess by trying to look up articles there, I just really ended up going deeper about a lot of different things to ultimately get to where I needed to be. Because when I just looked up priorities by itself, it just didn't seem to send me where I needed to be. It gave me articles, but it just was like, I don't know if this is along the lines of what I'm looking for. Not that I knew in particular what I'm looking for, but they weren't resonating with me, I guess I would say. And so ultimately, I came across this article that I felt like kind of put things into perspective. And it was, what should the order of priorities be in our family? I would say that article resonated with me this morning as I read it. I read several articles though, because as I was going deeper about the concept of priorities, um, I ended up, looking into articles and whatnot that was centered around wealth and, money management and, a married couple and what that looks like. And then more so focusing on, articles that were centered around being a wife and stuff like that, stuff that I guess was encouraging and inspiring me in particular. But when it comes to this conversation about priorities, I mean, I don't think I'm telling you guys any brand new information to say that I feel like, I mean, well, it's not a personal just feeling, but just observation that, we as humans, it seems like majority of us have our priorities out of whack. I don't think that's a revelation here. I think a lot of us probably can say, hey, yeah, I've witnessed that in some way too, whether it's in your own personal life or in someone else's life, stuff like that. You may have witnessed this idea that again, our priorities seem to be out of whack. Um, and it could be because again, we're putting every and anything before the Lord. Now, I know some people may not even consider that, to be the reason X, Y, and Z, because again, you're putting things before the Lord. But ultimately that's what the issue is. You're trying to put again any and everything ahead of the Lord, and that automatically makes your priorities be out of whack. Obviously, again, going deeper about this concept of wealth and things like that. I mean, again, yeah, we put money in front of the Lord. Again, there's nothing wrong with being blessed and wealthy and things of that nature. Um, but the Bible is clear about the love of money, right? The love of money, right? Being the root of all evil, not money, the love of money. But that's a whole nother conversation all by itself. But again, it was something that I did kind of go deeper about thinking and things like that. Ultimately, as I was going through all of this and stuff, what was standing out to me the most is again, If we want to put things back into priority, we got to put God first. And then honestly, everything else follows after that. Now, again, the article that I came across that I share with you guys at gotquestions.org, it pretty much reiterated a juice I told you guys a long time ago. If you go and scroll on our daily inspiration playlist on YouTube, you will see a juice that has an image of like me, and it's like I'm holding an umbrella, and the umbrella has this hierarchy of, you know, what technically our priorities should look like in a family. And again, it talks about the whole situation about God first, and the husband and the wife, children, extended family, on and on and on and on. And so yeah, that article pretty much reiterated that and broke it down in a way for us to understand again what our priorities should look like in a family, married household. And honestly, again, we should start there when we just think about us all. Like, even if you're a single person, you can still use that as a frame or a guide to again what your priorities should be. Um, you know, until um, until the Lord gives you a spouse, or even if He doesn't give you a spouse, it still is a good frame to at least understand that, okay, the Lord, then my spouse, if I got one or not, my children, my, immediate family, um, fellow believers, and then the world basically is pretty much how that hierarchy goes. So again, that's a whole nother conversation all by itself. But today we're talking about priorities. So let's go ahead and get into it. I got some verses that, stood out to me in regards to this conversation of priorities. And of course, like I said, I'm going to share the definition and whatever else the Lord has to say through below me. All right. So priorities says the fact or condition of being regarded or treated as more important. So that is what priority means. According to the definitions and things like that. Now, again, as I went deeper about all of this, and as I even was looking at the verses, I feel like all of these verses are saying the same thing that I'm getting ready to share with you guys. And it's not even going through the hierarchy of the list that I just mentioned to you guys. It's just pretty much reiterating one thing in particular. So I'm gonna see, I'm gonna read the verses, and again, we're gonna see what the Lord, do. But here they are. So Matthew 6:33, it says, but seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. Clearly, again, if you're sitting here thinking about what should be first, I mean, there you go. There's your answer right there. Seeking first the kingdom of God. Ultimately, numero uno, right, in our life of in our list of priorities should be God. Now, this verse is talking about seeking his kingdom and his righteousness and things of that nature. But ultimately, again, you guys are going to see these verses are pretty much all referring to the Lord and putting him first. But here we go. So then we got Exodus 20:3. It says, you shall have no other gods before me. Period. Nothing else added to that. And again, there's lowercase g when it comes to that gods. And that doesn't mean that there's all these gods out there, right? Like, that means that, again, and this is my humble opinion based on Bible, and, again, take it with a grain of salt, whatever the case may be. But according to my understanding, again, this doesn't mean that there's a lot of gods out there for real, and put the God of the Bible first. I'm saying, or what I believe this is reiterating, is that anything else that you try to put in front of God, so again, it can be something tangible. It can be money, your car, your job. If you're trying to put that in God's spot, then you're out of order. And it's saying again, you should have no other gods before me. So no other thing should be before the Lord. And I think it's pretty much self-explanatory. So here's another verse. Luke 12:34. It says, "For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also." That verse was standing out to me this morning to share. Again, if God is number one, then again your heart is going to reflect that, and your life is going to reflect that, right? Um, if he's not, then again, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth would speak, and things of that nature. And so, hey, just something to think about. But again, again, put first things first, right? So Deuteronomy 6:5, it says, "You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might." I mean, I don't know what else we could think that this means other than, with everything we should be loving the Lord. Um, I mean, are y'all getting anything else? That is it saying anything else about, putting something else in that position? Oh, unless it's X, Y, and Z, then put God. Like, I don't see that, you know. So I don't know what y'all are getting from these verses, but I'm constantly just getting a repeat of put God first. I mean, if y'all can let me know if you got something different from those verses I just read. But okay, so let's keep going. John 14:15, it says, "If you love me, you will keep my commandments." Um, as I was writing that verse down, I mean, I was kind of chuckling to myself because I found myself saying that line to my son. Because he'd be like, "I love you," but then he done did something wrong or whatever the case may be. And I'm like, if you love me, you would listen to what I'm telling you, X, Y, and Z, right? I mean, and how much more is that for us, right? If we truly love the Lord, like we quote unquote say we do, then we would be at least, right, following, keeping his commandments, right? And then from there, I mean, obviously, again, walking in the will, all the other things that the Bible tells us to do. But, again, first things first, right? So, something to think about. Here's another verse, and I believe it's the last verse before we get to the Bible verse of the day, and it's Colossians 3:2. It says, "Set your minds on things that are above, not things that are on earth." Um, I mean, there was a little something that I was thinking about when I wrote that verse down this morning, but now I can't remember what it was. Maybe I should have wrote it down. But I mean, ultimately, again, I just feel like, again, all those verses reiterated what should be first, what should be the first priority in our life. If you could say that, if you could be honest with yourself and say that, you know what, God isn't my first priority, and I'm listening to this and I feel a prick in my heart or whatever the case may be, I feel like I need to, shift that, right, get that in order, because I can be honest with myself and say that is me. God is not first in my life. And he should be. If you could acknowledge that, if that's you today, then I hope that you're encouraged and inspired to go deeper. There's maybe just like one verse in the go deeper section, but again, that article that I was telling you guys about, that is also in the go deeper section as well. Um, again, it should put into perspective what it should look like, what the priorities in our life should look like. And that's ultimately the juice. Now, I ain't gonna lie, a little side note, a little something that I need to personally go deeper about. Like, as I was looking at the article and as I was, doing the little deep dive and study this morning, I noticed that self wasn't really on that list. It was like God, your spouse, your children, your parents, the rest of your family, the people, fellow believers, and then I guess everybody else. And self was not on that list at all. Now again, I believe that the Bible, I guess, assumes that we already love ourselves, because again, that's one of the number one problems. We love ourselves above all things. We try to put ourselves again above everything else, and especially God, right? But then again, I do believe that there are people that are struggling with loving themselves. So I'm seeking the Lord about, where we fit into the picture. You know what I'm saying? Like, does self-care, is that something that, is biblical? Is that something that we should do? I know it's a popular phrase, and I even got a whole little movement sits around, making sure that we are taking care of ourselves and things like that. And I'm sure the Bible's not telling us to not take care of ourselves. I'm not saying that, but with us not being on there, like it's not on that list of priorities. And so that was just something that I was thinking about on the side, and something I might have to go deeper about. Who knows? Maybe the Lord will have me talk about at another day or something like that. But I'll be honest and say that again, there's still a little bit of pulp for me as well, trying to figure out, okay, this is something I don't understand. It's not that I don't like it per se, but it's just maybe I don't fully understand it or whatever. And so I got to go deeper, right? I got to study to show myself approved. So again, I hope that, all of these things that I share on here encourages you and inspires you because ultimately, like I said, that is the juice. Now, the Bible verse of today is Hosea 10 and 12. It says, sow to yourselves in righteousness, reap in mercy, break up your fallow ground, for it is time to seek the Lord till he come and rain righteousness upon you. Friends, I hope you all enjoyed this juice this morning. Thank you so much for listening to God, Sex, and Love, your daily dose of inspiration, the juice. I pray you guys can go forth and have a wonderful day, and I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow, if the Lord's will. Just a reminder, today is Friday, so we have a new episode of the GSL Talk Show coming out tonight, and it's with Brother Ira Mark Smith, aka Mark Smith, a former WCW pro wrestler turned author that you guys can learn much more about tonight at 7 p.m. on the GSL Talk Show. And yeah, I look forward to talking to you all tomorrow with the Lord's will. Bye bye. Did you know that you can support us for just 99 cents a month? That's right, friends. You can support everything that we do here at GSL for just 99 cents a month. Take a look around wherever this post is. You might see a link or maybe even a button that says support. Go there, check out the options, consider supporting us because, we enjoy bringing you all the daily inspiration as well as the weekly talk show, but we have much, much more to come. Thank you so much for the consideration. Bye-bye.